Finding that strong tabletop. I invite you to drop that belly. We're going to take that yogi gaze upward. Exhale, chin to the chest, rounding that upper spine. Take that gaze to your mat. Inhale, dropping that belly, open through the chest. Take that yogi gaze upward. Exhale, chin to the chest, navel to that low spine as we round the upper back, gazing to our mat. Inhale, start making that transition, dropping the belly, open through that chest, gaze upward. Exhale, chin to the chest, navel to that low spine, gazing to the mat. I invite you to get into your own breath and body movement here. Taking a few moments, relaxing and softening that spine with each movement and breath. And we're going to find that tabletop position, keeping our gaze forward. I invite you to sway those hips to the right. And then take that gaze over that right shoulder. We're going to take a few breaths here. And taking the body to center, I now invite you to take those hips to your left as you take that gaze over the left shoulder. Just breathe. And finding our center, tabletop today. We're going to tuck our toes, sinking the hips back. I want you to walk the hands out in front of you, taking the fingertips to the mat. Maybe imagine those fingers are wrapped around a cupcake as we sink the hips closer to, or heels, closer to the heels, hips to the heels. Taking a few breaths here. Each breath, try to soften the shoulders. Grounding those palms to the mat. We're going to take a deep breath in as we roll the body up. Tabletop position. On your exhale, we're going to take the hips to the sky, settling to that downward facing dog today. Pedaling those legs, being conscious of that breath. We're going to make our transition here. Find that strong plank pose. Taking the left knee into center, really engage the core. Pressing through those palms. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, taking right foot to the sky. Find that three-leg dog split. And then we're going to make a transition as we take the right foot and knee to center. We're going to settle to that low lunge today, making those few adjustments, taking left knee to the mat, hands to the mat. We're going to take a few breaths right in this moment and breathe. We're going to make a little transition as we roll the upper body away from the mat. Hands to that right knee. Feel free to float those hands high overhead in that low crescent lunge today. We're going to take the hands to the mat. Start tucking the toes on that back foot, lifting the knee away from the mat. Extend, right leg back. Find that strong plank today. Knees, chest, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, tuck those toes, hips to the sky. Finding that downward facing dog. Pedaling those knees and legs. Or embrace the stillness and just breathe and be. We're going to work that left side, so be mindful. We're going to transition that body to plank, taking left knee and foot into center. Really engage that core. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, floating left foot to the sky. 3-leg dog split here. And then we're going to make that transition, finding that low lunge. Take that left foot to the mat. Drop that right knee. Hands to the mat. We're going to hang out here a few breaths. Take a few little moments here getting settled in to that low lunge today. Feel free to start making that transition as you roll the upper body away from that mat. Hands to that left knee. Being mindful that our spine is straight. And you also have the option, floating hands high overhead. Low crescent lunge today. Maybe take a few breaths here. We're going to round those hands down to our mat, making that transition as we tuck the toes on that right foot, lifting right knee away from the mat. Extend left leg back. Find that strong plank. Finding our Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, make that transition. Tuck toes, hips to the sky. Finding that downward facing dog. We're going to start tucking the toes, taking the knees to the mat. I now invite you to take those elbows to the mat. We're going to settle to our puppy pose today. Softening the shoulders, Softening that neck. Sinking the hips closer to the feet. Just breathe and be in this moment. I now invite you, we're going to make that transition as we find our comfortable seat on the mat today, settling to that easy pose. Feel free to use a block or pillow underneath those sit bones for your comfort. I invite you to roll those shoulders down away from the ears. We're going to take the right hand beside us on the mat. Take a breath in, left hand towards the sky as we follow that left thumb with our gaze. Exhale, take it over to that right side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, we're going to circle that left hand to center and then plant it beside us on the left side of our mat as we take right hand to the sky. Follow with that yogi gaze and then extend right arm over. Good side stretch today. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, exhale. Start making that circular motion with that right hand down to the ground center, kind of a little circle, and then take right hand to the right side of the mat. Left hand towards the sky and extending it over to that right side. Good side stretch this morning. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and exhale. So we're just going to make our transition back to that Sukhasana today. Placing the palms on our knees. Rolling the shoulders a few times here. Finding our center, we're going to take an inhale, exhale. Inhale, we're going to take that neck and head over to the right side, just stretching our neck today. Softening our shoulders. Taking a few moments here to breathe. On your inhale, just take that body back to that easy pose. And then we're going to take that movement to the left side as you open the right side of that neck, softening those shoulders. We're just going to breathe into it. And taking that body back to our center today. We're going to make a little transition here as we turn the body on our mat. We're going to continue to hug the right knee into the body, extending that left leg out in front of us on the mat. Being mindful that that spine is lengthened from the crown of our head to that pelvic floor, grounded to the mat. We're going to take a few breaths right in this moment. Breathe in, breathe out. We're going to make a transition as we take that right foot, crossing it over that left knee. And we're going to swoop that right arm behind us on the mat, making contact, left elbow to that outer right knee. As we go into our seated twist today, be mindful. Make those few adjustments for your body. Gaze over that right shoulder and breathe. We're now going to hug that left knee with that, or the right knee, apologies, with the left hand. Take a few breaths as you are. And we're going to just release it as we turn that body forward. Maybe do a few shoulders here, shake it off. I now invite you, we're going to extend the right leg now as we work that left side of our body, hugging the left knee into our body. Being mindful that spine is straight from the crown of that head to the pelvic floor, grounded to your mat today. And breathe. We're now going to cross left foot over the right knee, swooping that left arm behind us on our mat. Going into that seated twist, the outer right elbow to the outer left knee. Yogi gaze over the left shoulder. You have the option to just hug that left knee if you'd like. Do what feels good to your body here. And we're going to release it. Turn that body forward. Relax that left leg, extending both legs out in front of us now. Taking that yogi gaze to those toes. Deep inhale as you float, hands high overhead. Exhale, reach for the shins, ankles, toes. Have a slight bend in those knees if you would like. Soften it and breathe. Slowly rolling that body up. Roll those shoulders down away from the ears. Maybe do a few shoulder rolls, relieving any stress or tension you may feel today. Let it go. It no longer serves you. So we're going to make our transition back to that tabletop today. On your inhale, dropping that belly, open through that chest, take that yogi gaze upward. Exhale, chin to the chest, navel to the low spine, rounding the upper back. Inhale, drop that belly, open through the chest, yogi gaze upward. And exhale, chin to the chest, navel to that spine, gaze to the mat. Few times here, getting into our own body movement and breath. And finding that center tabletop today. I invite you to sway those hips to the right as you take that gaze to the right. Taking a few breaths here. Taking those hips to center, gaze forward, and then sway hips to the left as you take that gaze to the left. Just breathe. Taking those hips to center, find that tabletop today. And we are going to start tucking those toes, sinking the hips closer to the heels of the feet, taking the fingertips to the mat. Maybe imagine you're cupping a cupcake with those hands as you sink the hips a little further deeper to the heels. Taking a few breaths here. Soften our shoulders, soften that neck. We're going to make that transition to our downward facing dog. Ground the palms to the mat. Roll that body up, find that tabletop for a brief second, then lift hips to the sky. Exhale. Pedaling those legs if you would like. Taking a few breaths. Or embrace the stillness and breathe. Making that transition, find that strong plank, and then step that right knee into center. Exhale, 3-leg dog split. As you inhale, start taking that right foot to center as we settle to the low lunge today. Make those few adjustments for your body. Taking a few breaths in this moment. You have the option to roll the upper body away from the mat. Hands to the right knee. Hang out here if you would like. Or another variation, float hands high overhead to that low crescent lunge. Your choice today. Do what feels good for your body. Taking those hands to the mat, start tucking the toes on that left foot, lifting left knee away from our mat. Settling to a little bit of a runner's lunge before we extend right leg back. Find that strong plank. Knees, chest, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, tucking toes, hips to the sky. Find that downward facing dog. We're going to take a few breaths here. You can pedal those legs or embrace that stillness and breathe. We're now going to make that transition. Find that plank. Lifting the left foot away from the mat. Start bending left knee. Bring it in. Really engage the core here. Take an inhale as you transition. Three-leg dog split. Left toes to the sky. And then we're going to transition that left foot, bringing it forward, making those few adjustments, finding our low lunge, taking a few moments here, get settled in. Rolling the upper body away from the mat, hands to the left knee. Taking a few breaths right where we are. You have the variation to float hands high overhead, settling to that low crescent lunge today. We're going to take those hands to our mat. Tuck our toes, lifting right knee away from the mat. Extend left leg back. Find that strong plank today. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, tuck those toes, hips to the sky, settling to that downward facing dog. Make those few adjustments. Pedal those legs if you would like. Or embrace that stillness, your choice today. I now invite you to make that transition to plank. And then take the knees to the mat. We're now going to settle to the puppy pose, so elbows to the mat. You want to go a little deeper, sinking those hips closer to the feet. Soften our shoulders and soften that neck. We're going to make that transition as you roll that body up to tabletop. And I invite you to find that easy pose on your mat, making those few adjustments. Taking right hand to the mat, float that left hand to the sky. Follow with your gaze. Exhale. Find that side stretch. Making that circular motion with the left hand. Take it over to the left. Right hand towards the sky with that yogi gaze. And finding that side stretch. We're now going to circle right hand to the right side of the mat. Take the left hand to the sky and then extend it over to the right. Circling left hand now to that left side. And take the right hand to the sky, extending it over to that left side. One more time. Circle right hand over to the right side and transition left hand to the sky, taking it over to the right. We're now just going to take that body back to that easy pose today. I invite you, practice a few shoulder rolls. Shake it off, let it go. Keeping the palms on our knees, I invite you taking the head to the right side as we stretch that left side of our neck today. Taking a few breaths. And taking that head to center, and then take that movement over to the left and just breathe here. Your eyes can be open, gaze soft or closed today, your choice. And finding that center, I now invite you, we're going to turn the body on our mat, extending that left leg in front of you as you hug the right knee into the body, taking a few breaths in this moment. We're now going to go into that seated twist. So take that right foot, cross it over the left knee, swooping that right arm behind you, outer left elbow to the outer right knee, yogi gaze over towards the right shoulder, and taking a few breaths right here. And we're going to release it. We're now going to extend that right leg and foot as you hug the left knee into your body. Take a few moments here, a few breaths. Be mindful that that spine is straight from the crown of the head to that pelvic floor. Going into that twist now as you take left foot, crossing it over the right knee, swooping that left arm towards the back of you, right outer elbow to the right outer left knee as you gaze over that shoulder and breathe. And we're going to release it. Shake it off. Taking both legs, extending them out in front of us today. Gazing towards those toes. Deep inhale, hands high overhead. Exhale, we're going to find that fold as you take the hands to the shins, ankles, toes. Wherever they go today, do what feels good to your body. We're going to take at least 5 breaths. And we're just going to release the hands, rolling the shoulders down away from the ears. I now invite you, we're going to take the feet to the mat. Knees are going to be bent. Hands to the knees, rolling the shoulders down away from the ears, taking a few breaths right where we are. I now invite you, we're going to take the heels to the mat now, and then lift those heels away. You can continue to hold on to those knees or release the hands from the knees. You can keep the knees bent here, or extend the legs out, your choice. Work that core a little bit here. Find some balance on those sit bones. Taking the hands to the knees, we're going to gently roll the body back on our mat as we hug knees to chest today. Feel free, rocking the body from side to side. We're now going to find that center. We're going to release the right leg, extending it out as you hug the left knee into the body today. Be mindful, make those few adjustments. We're going to release the left hand beside us on the mat. Continue holding that left knee with the right hand. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. We're now going to start taking the left knee over to the right, going into that supine twist today. Be mindful here, taking that yogi gaze to the left. I invite you to take a few breaths here. Rolling the body back on our mat. Hug that left knee into the body one more time. I now invite you, bringing that right knee into the body, knees to chest. Take a few breaths here. And then we're going to extend left leg out as you hug right knee in. Releasing the right hand beside us. Continue to hug right knee with that left hand into the body. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, we're going to start taking right knee over to the left side, going into that supine twist, gazing towards our right, and breathe. Rolling that body on our mat. Releasing the right knee, right foot to the mat as well as that left foot. We're going to take those feet together. Knees are going to be bent. Hands can go beside you on the mat. Hands can go to that belly. Do what feels good to you here. We're going to take a few breaths here, just in through the nose and out the mouth. I now invite you, let those knees fall open and away from the mat, and just breathe here. Taking right hand to the upper belly, left hand to that low tummy. We're just going to observe our breath here. In the belly. now going to make that adjustment on our mat, bringing the legs back to center, feet to the mat, knees bent. We're going to take those hands beside us on our mat, beside the hips, taking the feet a little wider today, away from each other. We're going to breathe in and breathe out. Inhale, start lifting the hips away from the mat. We're going to settle to that bridge pose. So be mindful here. You can take those hands together, fingertips interlocking, as you push the pelvis forward towards the sky and breathe. And we're going to take the hips to the mat. Release it, let it go. The next posture we're going to practice, be mindful, it's going to be our shoulder stand today. So we're going to keep that yogi gaze towards the sky. You do not want to bend the neck either right or left. We are going to lift the hips away from the mat. Practice that bridge pose maybe a few times before we go into it. Taking the hands to the low spine. And then you take the hips down to the mat. A few times here before we practice. Lift the hips away from that mat. Hands to the low spine. Take a few moments here if you would like and breathe. We're just getting warmed up for that shoulder stand. Taking hips down to the mat. One more time. Lift the hips away from the mat. Hands to that low spine. Really support that low back here. Just on right and left side of that sacral area is where you want to hold. And breathe. And taking the hips down to the mat. I now invite you, taking the tippy toes to the mat. Knees are going to be bent. I now invite you, we're going to just roll the knees into the chest a few times here and then release it. Tippy toes to the mat. Bring it back in, knees to chest, and kind of pop the hips away from that mat. Activating that low core today. It's a very gentle movement. On your next pop-up, we're going to pop up into that shoulder stand, so be mindful of the movement. Rolling knees into our chest first, and then extend the legs up towards the sky. Take a few breaths. Make those few adjustments. Hands are going to be around that low spine. Gaze to the toes. We're going to bend the knees, bringing them into the body. I invite you to take a few breaths here. And we're going to keep the knees bent, but we're going to start some bicycles. Use those legs. Act like you're pedaling a bike here. We're now going to take the knees to center, bring them into the body. And then we're going to start slowly rolling that back, making contact with our mat. Extending those legs flat. We're going to settle to that Shavasana today, so be mindful. This might be a time for a blanket or a pillow, your choice, as we get settled in today. I invite you to close the eyes, relaxing the forehead and jawline. Taking a few breaths right where we are, just normal breath today. If you feel a little restless feeling in the body, that's okay. Maybe give that feeling a color. Maybe imagine it's blue. The calming color of water. Connect to that. Bring more awareness to the breath. Just breathe.